in recent years, it seemed like fake phone calls have gone up almost tenfold. Now, marketers and salespeople have huge incentives for getting and checking valid phone numbers to close deals, but it also can seem that the amount of spam calls have reached an all-time high. Now, robocalls can originate from like telephony services like Twilio, Bandwidth, and this has been incredibly convenient. But it also has enabled a whole new breed of phone numbers and people that essentially spam to be able to come onto the market. So to solve this, I created an app called Veriphone. I think before we had yellow books, which for those of you that are old enough, you would essentially have a catalog of every single phone number where it linked to. But I wanted to be able to leverage both the ability to index with the graph and Chainlink to make API calls to be able to connect and create the world's first index or the world's first Chainlink index of phone numbers to be able to do automatic lookups and see on the blockchain or have it preserved on the blockchain whether or not phone numbers are valid and where they originated. So I created a simple contract called PhoneValidator, which is deployed on the testnet. And the way this works is there's a particular method called requestValidation of a phone number. And so this is a fake phone number, and you can see here what it does is essentially stores the last phone and the last valid state of whatever ran on the smart contract. But I can actually do a submission. I'll go ahead and confirm that. And what's going to happen is the transaction is going to be registered, and it does take a few minutes. So the phone number is updated. And for every particular phone number that's passed through this contract, it's going to emit an event that gets indexed by the graph. So let's take a look at last valid. Just like that, it did transition to true. So every single time someone calls this contract, it will essentially update the last blockchain state and emit an event based on that phone number, whether it's valid. So this contract is deployed on the testnet. And we can see here that I did deploy a graph. So as we get new phone numbers on the app, everything is indexed. And it's possible that phone numbers that were previously valid or previously invalid might switch. So we take a timestamp of every single event that goes through and creates a record with showing when it was valid and where it originated in the world. Now, because Chainlink is somewhat limited in terms of what it can actually parse and what the smart contract can actually do within the code, I moved the logic of the API call into an external adapter. Now this is actually deployed as a Lambda function, but we have a single interface that is very simple for Chainlink to consume, and it's deployed as a function, so I can just call it with the phone number as a path parameter. It validates it. But instead of throwing an uncaught exception if there was a bad phone number passed, I have this default response that says, okay, there's no location associated with this phone number, it's not valid, and I also have a flag that's numeric to indicate the validity. So Chainlink actually consumes this response and makes it very easy to translate back into an event that can get emitted from the smart contract. So there are a couple limitations right now. Right now we just support US addresses. This is a completely free service, so you literally just pay the gas cost, but it would be interesting to see what new possibilities accumulate as we get more and more phone numbers stored into this PhoneValidator smart contract. We could essentially do rapid lookups or cross validations with a global index of phone numbers that isn't tampered with or isn't maintained by any individual party. So there's a lot of different directions we can go. All the code is open source. The graph is deployed. I encourage you to check it out, and thanks for your time.